Can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat, Sleep, Boxing, Repeat.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel in partnership with shopbetting.co.uk, your home for betting tips and analysis. Delighted, as always, to be joined by Luke Cattell. This is the big preview for the trilogy fight taking place on the undercard of Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. Anthony Yarde, Lyndon Arthur. Not the trilogy that was kind of everyone's been desperate for, but it's a fight nonetheless, one of the biggest fights to take place on the undercard, Luke. Give us your general kind of thoughts on it. Was it surprised when this fight got made? Is this one you're looking forward to? Give us your general thoughts on the fight, please.
I mean, this is like, I think that I speak for a lot of Americans where it kind of sneaks up on you because this fight, I'm a boxing guy, I'm a boxing nerd in the US, but these are fights that kind of can easily happen to American boxing fans and they don't impact you as well. Anthony Yarde is someone I think is really good for the sport. He's limited to a certain degree, but his personality really carries him. And it feels like he could actually create a lot of fans and growth in the sport. Lyndon and Arthur beating him back in the day, I remember just kind of like, who the freak is this guy? Like, who's Lyndon Arthur? And I think that was the consensus was Lyndon Arthur became a guy off of that win.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it was a big shock a while ago. And I think Anthony responded well, responded in kind of the best way possible by getting us a stoppage victory since then. I want to ask you a couple of questions as well, Luke, but we'll go into kind of predictions now. I'm sure, yeah, sure Anthony Yarde's the favourite here. It's won his last three fights since fighting Beterbiev. Lyndon Arthur obviously lost to Bivol a year or so ago. There's no shame in. Since losing to Anthony Yarde in the rematch in 2021, he perhaps hasn't set the world alight, possibly. But what's your prediction and how confident are you about it?
I think Yard wins. I'm not sure if it's a stoppage or if he just wins on points. It just feels like Lyndon Arthur had one fantastic night, and we've never seen him. If now, don't quote me on this, but when he fought Liam Cameron, I remember that being a very close fight, and that kind of is troublesome for me because I like Cameron, but I think there is a difference in ability and also punching power from Cameron to Yard. So he's kind of showing that he's having trouble differentiating with certain levels of opponents. I think the other thing with Lyndon Arthur, he showed me that he knows how to survive against Bivol. That's not always the greatest trait against a guy like Yard who punches hard, because that means he could get into that pattern of, I'm just going to take some shots, not get hurt. I think this is a fight where Yard wins the trilogy, but I have to tell you, this sneaky, really good undercard, the whole fight card.
Yeah, for sure. Like, think it's a fight where people know who the guys are. People aren't going to have to kind of search in box red because they haven't heard of them. Um, I want to get your opinion on Anthony Yarde, Luke. Has How would you summarize his career? Because he's an entertaining fighter, but when he's kind of stepped up to the top level, he's lost, and there's no kind of shame in that. But I think my issue with it is that when you look, if I was to say to you, who has he beaten? Give me like his good wins. It's a bit difficult when you take away the Lyndon Arthur rematch victory. Um, how would you summarize his career? 33 years old now. This is going to be his 30th fight. How would you summarize his career so far?
Well, I'd say that we're still looking how much is substance. The show is fun, but we're looking to see how much of it is substance. I first heard about him in 2017, 2018 in the gym because I heard he had multiple mitt guys. So that was my first introduction. Wasn't even like any technical. It was like, dude, this guy's got multiple mitt guys and he's got this strong personality. And I think that he looks great, right? Like if you saw him, like if you saw him and he was cast to be a boxer, you'd be like, dude, that guy's the best. He gives great interviews. Forget what he does. He says something like wolves, or he has some catchphrase in the house. And you get kind of those fun beats as a fight fan, right? When a great fighter emerges, you tend to get like a catchphrase. You tend to get a great workout. He puts on a show. But I think there's always been questions, at least for me, is how does he translate to the highest level of the sport? And I think that that was the concern with the Lyndon Arthur fight, was maybe this was just fun, but the substance isn't there. But I think what's neat about him is in a loss to Beterbiev, he actually won more respect, I think, from people than any of his previous wins because he fared very well. So I'm optimistic that maybe he could have like a back end career where maybe he was overrated early, but then in the end, everything properly levels out because he's able to do it. And don't forget, there's a lot of old guys in this division, especially Better Beef. Who knows if he's going to fight for a year or two more? Yard could be a big name in a couple of years.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yards, look, I hope the best is yet to come, and I hope he fights them for some time because I think there is ability there. Um, I just think that he's fought a lot of guys who people haven't heard of, and he's maybe looked good doing it, but he's had too many of those fights where he's up against someone that people don't know, unfortunately. Um, I want to ask you, Luke, who is the best light heavyweight in the UK? We've just seen Callum Smith beat Joshua Buatsi quite recently in a great fight, a close fight. Callum Smith won. We've been talking about Anthony Yarde, Joshua Buatsi for um 6, 7 years now, I would say. Those three are probably kind of the three in the conversations. Kind of other good fighters, Craig Richards, Willie Hutchinson there, but those are probably the top three. Who's number one for you?
I'm gonna be chalkish, but I like the Smith brothers. I like Liam Smith. I like Callum. I think Callum is really underrated because people love to just trash him because he was like a guy that fought mostly in the UK and people were like he's good. And what he does well is a trait that like you have to have a brain to understand. He sits there, catches shots, and then fires back and knocks you out. There's obviously going to be a flaw against big punchers. Like if he can't take your power trying to catch a punch and go, that's going to lose. But to me, him and Liam are grossly underrated for where they stand in the era. And I think Callum Smith showed by beating a very good Joshua Buatsi that he's the best guy. I would love, love, love to see Anthony Yard, Callum Smith, because that would really, if Yard wins this fight and Smith could fight, that would tell you definitively who's the best British light heavyweight.
I think so. And I don't see why that fight can't happen. Bivol Beterbiev, we don't know for sure what's happening with those guys next. David Benavidez is in the mix, but I feel like it just feels like it would make sense for if Anthony Yarde is to win, of course, to fight to fight Callum Smith. And the winner of that fight, you think, would be in a good position to then fight for world title in possibly the post Beterbiev Bivol era in 2026. Final question from me, Lukey. How 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 confident are you here that Anthony Yarde wins this fight? Because I'm sure a lot of people were confident he was going to win the first fight and he didn't. Lyndon Arthur is just maybe he's kind of been saving a big performance for April 26th. On a scale of kind of like 1 to 100, because I feel like some people are 99% sure when they say a prediction, some people are 51% sure. How confident are you that Anthony Yarde wins this fight?
93%. I think two of his losses, right? You got Beterbiev and Kovalev. Those are two of the best fighters ever in that division. Really, it comes down to Lyndon Arthur, and it's really looking like Lyndon Arthur had the best fight of his life against him when maybe Yard didn't take him serious. Yard comes back and beats him, and I think now Yard is looking around going, dude, I can get a really big payday. I could secure my legacy. I think he's going to make a statement. And I think the other half is Lyndon Arthur's never looked like that guy again. Maybe that was his best performance. And I think here's a sneaky hot take. Maybe that win took a lot out of Lyndon Arthur because it wasn't like he just pitched a shutout. He took damage in that fight and I've never seen the same guy again. So I'm fairly confident, 93%.
Fantastic. All right. We'll leave it there. Luke, really appreciate your time, your opinions, and we'll see what happens April 26th. Anthony Yarde and Lyndon Arthur will fight for a third time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on the undercard of Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. Luke, thank you for your time, and we'll speak again very soon.